Effective communication in higher education. Today's agenda will be an introduction, a summary of purpose and content, strategies in effective communication, challenges, strategies in de-escalation, and effective communication outcomes. To start off with, my name is Aharbison, and I'm presenting the content of this presentation, Effective Communication in Higher Education. I want to introduce myself and also give context to my background. My education, I attended a polytechnical college where I received a certificate of completion as a pharmacy technician. I then began preliminary undergraduate courses at Glendale Community College, and I then transferred to Grand Canyon University where I earned my Bachelor of Science in Accountancy. I am currently enrolled in the upper graduate studies at Grand Canyon University, where I'm working on 2 master's degrees, a Master of Science in Biology with an emphasis in education, and a Master of Science in Accounting with an emphasis in tax compliance and planning. I have an extensive background in pharmacy, having spent 20 years in the field. I have worked in several environments within the field. The majority of my time in pharmacy was in the retail pharmacy environment. I also worked in mail order pharmacy, closed door pharmacy, compounding pharmacy, and I also taught the same program I hold a certificate in at a technical college. This extensive background provides me with a unique perspective in pharmacy. I'm able to effectively teach in the area of pharmacy, giving students a glimpse into many different facets of pharmacy. My focus in teaching will be those individuals who want to begin their professional career in pharmacy as a pharmacy technician. A summary of our purpose and content. The purpose of this presentation is to educate the viewer on the presenter's ability to communicate and effectively diffuse potentially difficult situations. The content, we will be discussing strategies to foster communication with adult learners, challenges and strategies to overcome, strategies to de-escalate interpersonal conflict, outcomes of effective communication and student success in a positive classroom environment. So strategies in effective communication, building a sense of community, building positive relationships, and communicating with clarity. So how do we build a sense of community? First, we build a sense of community within the classroom itself, and second, a sense that they are a part of a larger campus or community. Adult learners are typically commuters with many different stressors and obligations outside the classroom. In my experience, adult learners schedule, attend, and study around their life commitments. It is difficult to feel a sense of community within a classroom or college where there are bigger stressors or commitments in your life. Building a sense of community opens the door to communication between fellow students and instructors. Frank and real honest discussions are born from a sense of belonging. So how do we build positive relationships? Relational messages show students we care about them and help us establish closeness. Instructors that fully engage with a classroom send relational messages to students. Fully engaging can include walking around the classroom, looking students in the eye, positive gestures, calling on students by name, and using personal examples. Engaging in the classroom can only strengthen the experience a student has. When a student feels that an instructor cares, the drive to work harder, engage more, and strive for greatness increases. Students feel the instructor has a buy-in, so they do as well. So how are we going to communicate with clarity? Clarity is an important teacher communication behavior. Clear communication is essential no matter the relation dynamic. The teacher-student dynamic is no exception. According to Waldeck's article titled Untangling the Web of Student-Teacher Communication, clear communication is aimed at ensuring students' attainment of academic goals related to our content. Clear communication's primary focus is in delivering the information to the student with as little confusion as possible. Open dialogue and clarifying questions allow the communication to flow freely in a concise manner. With everything, there's always a challenge. So what challenges are there with communication in higher education? When we are building a sense of community, the challenge that we face is feeling of forced participation in group icebreakers. Some students do not like the small group icebreakers and feel that it takes from lecture time, and they are resistant to participate. Also, the redundancy of group activities. This is especially troublesome in small class sizes where students feel they work with the same small group too often. In building positive relationships, a challenge would be the respect failure. Some instructors feel calling students by their first names and vice versa is disrespectful and breeds an environment where the instructor isn't held to the same high regard of respect. And when we're communicating with clarity, the challenge that we face is annoyance. When instructors repeat themselves or dumb down information, it can become annoying to students. So, how are we going to overcome these challenges? In building a sense of community, the feeling of forced participation in group icebreakers, we would make sure that there is not an overabundance of icebreaker activities, nor are they elaborate in nature. Redundancy of group activities, we would make sure there's a good rotation of group members and scale the amount of group activities based on the class size. So the smaller the class, the lower the amount of group exercises. In building positive relationships, the respect failure. Instructors do not have to address students by their first name and vice versa to build a positive relationship. Use all other avenues of building a positive relationship while still commanding respect. When we communicate with clarity, the annoyance factor, the instructors will need to know how to read the room. Once a student or class is annoyed, it is hard to rein them back into respecting the instructor and actively participating in class. Generally, once they are annoyed, they do not want to continue with the class. They do not want to continue learning. They check out and they begin to think of other things. So in communication, there's always a period of time where there can be an escalation of conflict. So we need to understand that there are strategies to de-escalate. And as instructors or teachers, we need to know how to do that. So finding productive ways to work through conflict offers tremendous benefit. Dylan wrote in Managing Conflict Constructively, which gives a wonderful way to de-escalate a conflict. We're going to get comfortable about the conflict. People have a basic need to be liked and do not like addressing conflict. Conflict is seldom resolved through avoidance or wishful thinking, and not all conflict is bad. Some conflict is good and breeds change, innovation, the flow of ideas, and other outcomes in that nature. Separate the emotion from the outcome. We're going to separate how you feel from the conflict. Are you feeling this way because it is directly affecting you? Don't make it personal. Conflict does not mean there are personal attacks. Do not attack the opposite party. Instead, ask open-ended questions. Try to understand the other party's stance. Identify and resolve outcome. Be prepared to come to an agreement. Do not go into the conversation with guns blazing. Work together towards a common outcome. How are we going to de-escalate a teacher and student disagreement? How can it be resolved? Well, we can have a positive disagreement and we can work towards a mutually beneficial outcome. So how could a disagreement between a teacher and student be resolved? According to Dylan in Managing Conflict Constructively, there are three different things that we need to do to resolve the disagreement, come out positive, be have a productive disagreement per se. And that is to articulate, understand it, and be able to clearly express what the clash is about. Empathize, consider the other's side's point of view and how this disagreement is affecting them. And have courage. Have an honest conversation with both parties can express their thoughts and emotions while the other party is actively listening. An honest conversation that recognizes your different perspectives will propel you forward. So effective communication outcomes. Not many think about the outcome further than the information that was presented to them. In a perfect world, all things considered, effective powers that be will serve as a tool to the other party. Not only do they get to work with me, but they will be given the chance to know what's going on within the powers that be. Effective communication outcomes. Well, first, becoming a good communicator is vital to your success as an academic leader. Listen as well as you speak. Sometimes it's hard for people to understand, but you really do need to listen as much as you are speaking. You also need to listen while you are speaking. There are many different ways of listening, and not just from your ears. Listening can be picking up cues from another party, reading the room, finding out if your information is even being well received. And actually, sometimes if you're talking to the person and you see confusion on their face, you can adjust your method in what you are saying. Thank you for listening to my presentation. References were from Managing Conflict Constructively, Building the Community in the Community College Classrooms, and Administration 101, What Do We Have to Do to Become a Great Communicator? Thank you.